How to Lead Like Franklin Saint from Snowfall. Now, after releasing How to Think Like Franklin Saint and covering the strategic strategies and principles behind Franklin's thought process, we can now start to understand the power of how viewing the world through the lens of ownership can really revolutionize your life. And if you haven't already watched Franklin's first breakdown, then make sure you go check that out. But even though we've clarified that building an empire for yourself does take a lot of time and hard work, it ironically isn't the toughest part of it all. As we see in Snowfall, and what we also see in life, is that it's not so much the building of an empire where you will face most of your problems, but it's more so in the commanding and controlling of it once it's built. Which is why it's so important that you equip yourself with the fundamental strategies and principles surrounding the art of strong leadership. Now, even though Franklin is far from perfect, and he definitely has made his fair share of mistakes, which I will break down and cover in the future, the one thing that you can't take away from him is that he is a very strong and effective leader. Which is why in this video, what I'm going to be breaking down are the key fundamental strategies and principles that Franklin uses that not only allows him to maintain the control of his empire, but also how he enforces strict structure and discipline throughout his organization, and exactly what you can use to increase the amount of power you have in your life and in your world of business. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn how to lead like Franklin Saint. Spoiler alert through seasons 1 to 4. Now, throughout the story of Snowfall, we see the character of Franklin Saint have dreams of building and running his own empire. And by the beginning of season 3, we see that the boy has done quite well for himself in doing so.
We have a lender we like if you decide you want to move forward.
Make an offer to be cash. Like a minute with my partner, you don't mind.
But even though this journey of moving from a position of dependency into a position of self-reliance allows Franklin to become a lot more powerful, this also comes attached with the burden of loads of other people becoming dependent on him, to which leads him to becoming ultimately responsible for not only controlling and maintaining his empire, but also ensuring the people around him fall in line. And how Franklin does this is by using the 6th strategy of the 50th law, which is to lead from the front, becoming the hustler's king. Now, what the hustler's king is all about is understanding that when you're in charge of an empire or any type of organization, it is you who is responsible for the culture and the tone that is set. This is why you need to take your approach of becoming a leader very seriously and strategically. Because if you portray to your people the emotions of fear, hesitancy, or rashness and irrationality, then this will inevitably filter its way through your organization, making it damn near impossible for you or your people to take any effective action. Therefore, the main idea surrounding becoming the hustler's king is to ensure that you become an exemplar of what you want your organization to be. You want your people to work harder? Then they need to see you working harder than everyone else. You want your people to make sacrifices for the goal? Then they need to see you making sacrifices yourself. An example of this leading from the front mindset is when Leon tries to ask Franklin for hazard pay due to a crackhead trying to rob him.
She gonna reimburse him for these shoes though. Yeah, sure. You 50 cents, you can walk your ass down to Goodwill. Man, fuck you. Your mama dressed you up your whole life, but I gotta pay for my own shit?
Hold up, you for real?
Real as death, nigga. And I want a little extra pay for my frayed nerves. Hazard pay.
Now, on the surface, it seems only right to reward Leon for his work, but Franklin knew that this was the type of shit that they would have to deal with all the time. This was part of the job, and if Franklin did reward him, then Leon would always expect something for every little thing he did. Now, of course, rejecting Leon's request was a tough decision to make. But what justified Franklin's decision was that he himself had not only been through the exact same shit that Leon had went through, but also situations that were much worse.
got balls, kid, I give you that.
Given the fact that Franklin had already experienced and been through the trenches himself, this is what gave him the moral ground and authority to reject Leon's demands.
It's fair, Saint. I mean, we all putting our lives on the line for this thing, man.
You wanna talk about lives on the line? I almost died twice since I started this shit.
Man, this nigga full of excuses, but you ain't nothing but a cheap-ass motherfucker.
You get poked one time by some junky-ass blade. What about me? I've been robbed, beat, shot at. You wanna talk about hazard pay? Where's my hazard pay, motherfucker?
Now, with making this decision, this obviously causes some animosity between Franklin and Leon. But Franklin isn't bothered by that, because a key principle surrounding the art of leadership is that as a leader, it is much better to be respected and feared and govern with these elements in comparison to just using love. A way this principle is demonstrated is when Franklin deals with the situation between Leon and Manboy. Manboy is pissed at the fact that Leon has been stepping out on his territory, and he tries to use that against Franklin to negotiate a better price for his bricks.
Fine. Lil Lee here been fucking with my crew. Trying to take our territory.
Yeah, I ain't tried. I took that shit.
Let the man talk. I feel like we need to renegotiate terms. Okay. Lieutenant Key from now on. Either that, or this little motherfucker head is my football. It's my terms.
Now, even though Leon was clearly in the wrong for stepping out on Manboy's territory, I want you to try figure out why Franklin responds in the way that he does, even though it seems unfair.
Prices are gonna stay the same. You don't like it? By all means, find yourself a new plug. And Leon here, well, he family. You fuck with him, you fuck with me. Understand?
Have you got it yet? Or are you still a bit confused? Well, if you're still confused, don't worry. Let me break it down for you. The thing is that Franklin knew that Manboy had an absolute bloodthirst for power, and that he was looking for any excuse or opportunity to gain more. And this is why we see Franklin put his foot down. Because if he had just simply rolled over and submitted to Manboy's demands, then this would have demonstrated a sign of weakness on Franklin's side. And Manboy would have no longer seen Franklin as a figure of authority. But by rejecting Manboy's demands of lowering the price of the bricks, and making it clear to Manboy that his threat of touching Leon would lead to severe consequences, this is what put Manboy back in line, and strongly demonstrated Franklin's authority over him.
Shit ain't right.
It ain't. But that's the way it is.
But even though Franklin completely outmaneuvered Manboy's play for power, he still understood that with the situation between him and Leon, it was Leon that was in the wrong. Which is why he doesn't have any hesitation in checking Leon's behaviour in glorious fashion.
You know, I got all this shit hanging over my head. But you off trying to start a war with our partners.
The nigga diss me every time I see him. Acting like he the one in charge and shit.
In Compton, he is the one. You lose. Every time you bite with that nigga, and I'm the one that pays for it. And you gonna get off his corners? You gonna leave his people be? Or you the one that's gonna find yourself a new plug?
You don't mean that shit?
The fuck I don't. I built this shit. Me. Brick by brick. And I'll be damned if I let you tear it down just cause you don't like the way another nigga talk. Drive, motherfucker!
Can you now see how Franklin expertly solved the situation through the uses of fear and respect? I mean, he made it clear to Manboy that he couldn't just throw his weight around and demand whatever he wanted, i.e. fear. But he also solved his problem by making sure Leon came off his corners, i.e. respect. And as with Leon, Franklin made it clear that Leon was family and that he would always have his back, i.e. respect. But he also didn't hesitate to check Leon for his behaviour, i.e. fear, solving the situation between them but not letting anyone feel as if they got one over each other, and both still knowing exactly who is in charge. This is what I mean by combining the use of fear and respect to govern your empire, as it's a much more powerful dynamic to maintain control of your people. And we see Franklin use this combination of fear and respect time and time again. Now, of course, you do need to be careful with this dynamic. The absolute worst thing that you can create for yourself as a leader is for your people to hate you. But this doesn't mean that you become a pushover either. Being a leader often requires making tough decisions, and we can see throughout Snowfall how many difficult choices Franklin has to make. But as a leader, it's your job to make them tough decisions that will benefit the empire and organization as a whole, rather than just selfishly satisfying people's selfish desires. The reason why Franklin takes this hard and tough approach towards the art of leadership is because if you have chosen the soft, pleasing and compliant style of leadership out of fear of being disliked, you will then find yourself with less and less room to compel people to work harder or to make sacrifices. And if you all of a sudden try to be tough on them, they will then often feel wounded and personally upset. They can easily move from love to hate. Therefore, it's much better and more important to build towards your reputation as a leader surrounding toughness and getting results.
Them motherfuckers think we stupid? No. Huh? We don't know every fucking thing y'all do? Y'all do good, and we'll take care of you. Always. But you fuck up.
Now, just like a lot of times with Franklin, people might sometimes resent you for your tough actions, but you will at the same time establish a foundation of respect. You are demonstrating genuine qualities of leadership that speak to everyone. And to help you with this, what I'm going to be breaking down are the 4 key roles that you will need to play in order for you to transform into that strong and effective leader. The first role is the role of the visionary. This role is all about taking the time out to set out and map the long-term goals of your empire. We see how Franklin plays this role, especially during season 1 and 2, to where, out of everyone around him, he is the only one that is able to zoom out and see the bigger picture of things.
The hell? The fuck is that? Our future.
But being a visionary isn't just about spotting opportunities, but it's also about being able to see the long-term consequences of certain actions and not just viewing things on the surface, i.e. thinking rationally and not emotionally driving yourself off a cliff. We see this with how Franklin deals with Kevin and the others when it comes to them wanting to take revenge on the Mexicans.
Let me on the car, Leah! You dumb motherfuckers. Wrap this shit up. We out of here. The fuck is wrong with you people? You just gonna go out on the street and start shooting because you got a phone call?
Not just a fucking phone call. Mookie seen it, man. They really did.
So you gonna go and kill the first Mexican you see?
That's what you do, man. Ain't your daddy a Panther? They hit you.
You just out here with your M16 backing this shit up. You the one who warned me about the motherfuckers in the first place. You mean to tell me you knew somebody who might have helped you? Might have told you what really happened. You didn't think to call her first before going down there fully loaded?
Nephew, I gave you the card with the goddamn number on it.
The main idea regarding the visionary role is more so about focusing on the future in depth, understanding the long-term play of things, and also having the ability to cast out a vision for everyone else around you to see.
Off a single key, the way we cut it, we make 50 selling nickels. But it catches on and we set the market, we sell dimes.
100,000 off a single key.
Uh-huh. All I know is we'll catch on. And when it does, we can be making 7 figures a month.
This is what leads me to the second of the 4 roles of an effective leader, which is the unifier. Now, the unifier is all about understanding. For that, in order for a group to be effective, it needs to have a centripetal force that will give it unity and cohesion. And that centripetal force needs not be you, but more so a cause. A strong cause that will hit people emotionally and make them work together to fight for him. The way Franklin does this is by creating an enemy out of the system. He surrounds his organization around the idea and cause of fighting back against the oppressive system that keeps his people trapped in positions of dependency, and that hustling crack is a way to elevate himself, his people and his community into eventually getting into positions of ownership and legitimacy. Now, whether this cause is morally justified and true, that's a whole different story, but this idea and cause is enough for everyone around Franklin to stick together and work as a unit for quite a long time. And it's also, funnily enough, how he's even able to convince his own mom to become a part of his drug empire.
I'm in with you on this from now on. You said you had it under control, and I'm happy to do everything I can to help. But it's up to you to protect everyone. Can you do it or not?
Now, the third role as a leader is the role model. And like I said right at the start of this breakdown, in order to inspire true action and command authority, you yourself needs to lead from the front and become an exemplar of what you want your organization to be. But no one can control a large group of people on their own. And even if you try, you'll just end up turning into a micromanager or a dictator and end up making yourself exhausted and hated. That's why you need to develop a team of lieutenants who are infused with your ideas, your spirits and values, and then eventually who will do the work for you. Now, Franklin does this quite well with his close friends and family, but an even better example of this is how Franklin works with different bosses from different hoods, such as Scully and Manboy. But before Franklin gives these people more responsibility, he first makes sure that they demonstrate the competency and potential of becoming a strong hustler.
What's your plan?
My plan? What you mean my plan? I'ma sell that rock. When it's gone, buy some more, then I'ma sell that too.
And expand?
Talking about staying out of your territory. I know what's what.
This shit, we stay out the mess.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Holler when you want some more.
What's up?
And as we see with Manboy right here, once he passes Franklin's tests and demonstrates his competency, Franklin then opens the doors to give him more freedom to operate on his own.
So we're gonna do things just a little different, Drew. I'm gonna give you 2 birds, untouched. You gonna cook it yourself, rock it yourself, cut it yourself. A little more sweat for a lot more cash. I mean, what, you got corner boys, cookers? No need for us to do the work you could do for yourself, right? You wanted trust? Here it is.
All right, Saint. See you soon.
Now, of course, Leon doesn't like the idea of giving Manboy more responsibility and more independence. And of course, he has every right to. Hiring people will always carry some degree of risk. But just like Franklin, you can't be micromanaging every single aspect of your organization. That's why, once you feel as someone has had the proper training and demonstrated the competency to do the job that you want them to do, you must then not be afraid to let go of the reins and give them more independence. This is what we see Franklin do with all the neighborhoods in LA, and in the end, what this will do will save you much time and energy and allow you to continue focusing on the more important aspects of your empire, such as the greater strategic picture.
But eventually, the goal is to only deal with a few high-level customers. A serious fucking way, huh? Start thinking about what you want to bring in, all right?
Cool.
All right, y'all.
No.
And the final role you want to adopt as a leader, which happens to be my favourite, is that of the role of the bold knight. Now, with dealing and managing any type of group, naturally over time, people's powerful desires of keeping things easy, comfortable and familiar will take over. That's why it's your job as a leader to adopt the role of the bold and enterprising knight. You are the one who can alter and set a pace that is more alive and active. You force yourself to initiate new projects and domains to conquer. You take proactive measures against possible dangers on the horizon, and you seize the initiative against your rivals. It's all about not being afraid to make the bold moves that will help push your empire forward. Now, we've seen that ever since day one, Franklin isn't afraid to push himself out of his comfort zone and is always willing to make bold moves. But I think that it's not until season 4 for where we truly start to see how bold Franklin can actually be. Even though he does make several wrong moves and mistakes in this season, in the end, everyone still looks up to him for the next move, and he seems to be the only one, again like usual, that isn't afraid to take on that bold action that is required to solve all the problems that everyone is facing.
I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen to you. Nothing. And why is that? Cause I'm gonna step in front of the bullet. Like I did with that Judas motherfucker Kevin, like I did with that bitch ass Andre, and like I always have, to keep y'all safe. Now, if you got some constructive ideas to help me get through this shit, then I promise you I'm listening, I promise. But if not, then please keep your heads down, keep your mouth shut, and let me get us out of this like I got us out of every other motherfucking thing else. Peaches. Let's roll.
Now, just to clarify, being bold doesn't mean you take stupid and unnecessary risks, but what it's about is simply adding a dash of aggression to your normally staid group. They become used to seeing you out in front and grow addicted to the excitement you bring with each new move and campaign. Think of it as calculated aggression, where you keep your group marching on the offensive and are always willing to do what needs to be done in a very calculated and strategic manner.
Yeah, finish me off, Franklin. Look me in my eyes and take my life. You a real killer.
Nigga always talk too much.
Now again, just to be clear, I'm not saying to look up to Franklin as a god, nor am I endorsing drug dealing or murder. Franklin is a character that isn't perfect, and is definitely full of ironic contradictions. And as we see by the end of season 4, it seems that he has lost quite a lot of control over his empire, which I may cover as to why in the future. But I'm sure we'll hopefully see him get back up and reclaim it all back in season 5. But this still doesn't take away from the fact of the knowledge that's inside of his brain, and also the strategic lessons and principles that you can learn from him in order to transform yourself into that strong strategic leader of an effective organization, and the leader that you've always aspired to be. And that, my friend, is how to lead like Franklin Saint, and how you can transform yourself into the hustler's king by always ensuring that as the leader you lead from the front, by becoming an exemplar of what you want your empire to be, prioritizing and governing your leadership with the combination of fear and respect over love, and by adopting the 4 essential leadership roles, that being the visionary, the unifier, the role model, and the bold knight. And that's how to lead like Franklin Saint from Snowfall. And that's what's going to grant you way more power in your life and in your world of business. Now, after me making a video every week for nearly 60 weeks straight, surrounding mob bosses, gangsters, and drug dealers, I figured it was about time that I give myself a bit of a break. As much as I really do love all the support and love that I get from you guys on the channel, the content that I produce, especially when it comes to the character breakdowns, isn't easy. So I did decide to take a bit of a step back and let my brain get some rest, after creating many different analyses of many different powerful strategies and characters. And I will be resuming back to our normal schedule real soon. And also, just a quick update on the special project that I've been working on for you guys. Each and every day I'm getting closer and closer to releasing it, but it definitely still needs some more work. But if you are interested in the strategic strategies and principles that I cover, then make sure you sign up with the link in the description to get notified of more information when I drop it. I don't want to give away too much just yet, but just know it's going to be something that will help you transform your ways of thinking from just a normal human being into a strategic mastermind. So if you are interested in learning more about that, then make sure you hit that link in the description. And if you like this video, make sure you smash that like button and leave a comment below on what your thoughts and feelings are about Franklin and his leadership. Comment some of your favourite lessons and quotes from him, and let me know what character breakdown would you like to see next. And if you are new to the channel, welcome to the channel, and to all our loyal subscribers, we are glad you are here. We do some of the best character breakdowns on the whole of YouTube, and we aim to produce at least one high quality breakdown per week. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any golden knowledge. I'll see you soon.